NIO stock jumps after report of China's plan to boost the EV sales. So because of that news, of course, we saw yesterday, and that was like a Friday, April 26th, and we saw the stock jumped massively. And then I'll show you the stock jump here. We can see NIO actually yesterday went up 8%. At one point, it went all the way to 10%. So, but we can see it did open previous day. It was at 413, and then it closed at 449. So that's like that's like a huge jump, right? It's almost 9%. But then after hours was about 0.22. So it seems to be going to into the right direction. A 52-week range. We can see NIO. It's 361 all the way to 1618. So in this video, I'm going to go through financial statistics, forecast, and we're gonna see if NIO is right for you to buy, and we'll look at the good thing and the bad thing about NIO stock right now. So welcome to Mr. Money Mind Investing. On this channel, I talk about this type of update and investing. So if you don't want to miss this type of update, just make sure you subscribe, and if you like this video and content, just give me a like. So now let's start with forecasts. We can go to statistics first. We can see at the statistics, stock price has decreased by 41% in the last 52 weeks. The beta, which is the volatility of the stock, is 1.95. The S&P 500 is about 1%, but so NIO is almost double the volatility of the S&P 500, but this is to be expected for a stock like NIO. We'll look at the market cap right now is 6.43 billion. Enterprise value is 3.59. We look at the important date for NIO is going to be next estimate ending is on Friday, June 7th, 2024. So keep in mind on this date, and whenever that comes out, I'll let you know. So just make sure you hit the notification button so you don't miss these earnings. But we look at the 52-week price change, as I've mentioned, is 41. We look at the 50-day moving average for people who are trading this stock, and look, it's 502. 200-day moving average is 791. Relative strength, it's a 69. And average volume is almost 52 million. 52 million. So that's like a lot of volume on a daily basis. We'll look at the short selling information for this one. Short interest right now is 186 million. Short previous month was 170 million. Short percentage of share out, it's only 4.63. We'll look at the shares statistics. NIO has 1.43 billion share outstanding. So the good news and the bad news about this one here is that share outstanding 1.43 billion. Out of those ones, insider only own less than 1%. So this is not good, because you want to see insiders own about more than 10%, not too much that they can manipulate, but you want to see the people who owns the stock or the company have a skin in the game. But in this case, we see NIO actually has very little. So that's I don't like about this one here. But we look at the institution. This is the good news. The institution, they own about 17%. So the good thing about this one is that institution, they are people who can drive the stock massively, but if they own too much of this, they can manipulate the stock. But in this case, we see that they don't own as much, so that's a good news. And floating is a share that retail investors, you and I, own, is 1.36 billion. So the good is that we driving the stock. Institution own good percentage, but the bad thing is that the owners or the owner of the company, people inside the company, don't own as much. So that's not good news, but it is what it is. So it's not too bad, but it's not as good. We look at the valuation. Forward PE is a 434. That number is huge. Of course, it came down, but it's not as good as it looks. We look at the income statement. Revenue is 7.84 billion. Gross profit is 4.21 million. Operating income, it's minus 3.13 billion. Pre-tax income is 2.84 billion. Net income is 298. EBITDA is 211. Loss per share is minus $1.72. A balance sheet now. If you look at the balance sheet, the company has 7.63 billion in cash and has 4.79 billion in debt, giving a net cash position of 2.84 billion or $1.99 per share. So this is really good news, because we can see the company has more cash than it has debt. So this is always one of the things when you look at the company, you look at the health of how much they have. So if they were to pay all their debt today, they still have cash. That's what you don't need. So they don't have negative cash, which is good. But we're going to look at that. What's not good about other numbers. Other numbers we can look before let's finish this one. We see net cash per share is 199. Book value per share is 246, and working capital right now is 1.74 billion. Cash flow right now in the last 12 months, operating cash flow is 190 million, and capital expenditure of $1.97 billion negative. All these numbers are negative, so that's not pretty good. But the only good thing is that, of course, capital expenditure and operating cash flow are coming down from where it was, the previous quarter and previous year. So free cash flow right now is 2.16 billion. It's pretty good from where it was, So that's a good news, but at the same time, we're still on negative territory. So that's not as great, but it's better. But it can be even better. If we look at the margin gross, it's a gross margin is 5.37%, with operating profit margin of negative 39.86 and minus 38.02. That's might look bad, but if you look at the previous quarters and years, it was even bad. I'm going to show you here another numbers that on the forecast. So we look at the forecast of NIO. NIO Stock 12 analyst with 12 months price target. NIO, they predict that NIO Stock has average of $8.28 with a low estimate of $4 and high estimate of $16. The average target of NIO is predicted to be 84% upside from where it is right now, and analyst consensus is a buy. These are the numbers. These are this chart here. We can see it's pretty. So if we are to buy at this price today at 449, your lowest it might be going is minus 1091. For a NIO stock, 10. If you're losing 10%, that's not as bad because it's volatile stock. It can go up 10% and down 10% in one session. So that's not the biggest issue. But what I'm looking here is an average right now. If you invest today, on average consensus is going to be 84%, which is $8.28, and median is 7.29. It's still massive. That's still 60% upside. When you look at the highest it might be going, is going to be at $16, which will give you 256%. All these numbers you might see far-fetched, but these numbers are possible because if we go back to NIO in 2021, let's go to max. We can see here NIO at one point went all the way to 61.95. That was in January 19, 2021. And of course, it crashed a little bit at that time. It went to 36. It floated between 60 to 20. So the numbers seem to be realistic because it might be going back to that price where it was. Even just as recently, it was at $14. And that was just July 31st, 2023. Even as recently of 2024, in this, when you look at January, it was at $8 and $9, right? So if we look at the current price at 449, it's not far-fetched to see this stock going back at least to $8. So that's why I'm really hopeful these analysts actually prediction and the numbers that they provide are giving me big hope that the stock will go up at least to $8. But the analysts just didn't come up with those numbers just because of their feelings, but it's just because of the number that they have here. First of all, we look at the analyst, how many, what's the votes here? The vote was a strong buy. It's about, that was April. Latest one was April 24. We can see it's 4 a strong buy. We look at the buy, 1, hold is 5, and sell was only 2. A strong sell is 0. Total vote as of April was 12. A month previous, there 11, 9, 9, 9. So this month of April, of course, there are many more, but they always float between 9 to 12. And these are analysts' names and where the companies that they are holding. So we can see the firms was Macquarie's, Barclays Bank, UBS, and HSBC, and Morgan Stanley. So Morgan Stanley is buy, HSBC is very strong buy, UBS is hold, Barclays is downgraded the stock to price target of 5 to 4. The most bull here is Morgan Stanley. Is the upside is about 13 to 10, which is 122% from the price it is today. So that's a pretty good to see. These big guys are from these banks are upgrading and have good outlook for NIO stock. We look at the numbers they actually look at, these numbers here, financial forecast. We can see revenue this year was 68 billion. That's 23% up from last year. We look at the revenue next year is going to be 94.45 billion. That's 40%. EPS this year is 7.91, which is it's improved from last year where it was negative 12.44. We look at the EPS, earning per share, it's 5 this year, negative 5.13, which is improvement from negative 7 where it was last year. When we can see here, these are the years from 2019 to 2028. Revenue growth, we can see this year, for example, last year was 55 billion. This year is going up to 68.88. Next year is even more. It's going to 96.45 billion, which is a 40% from this year. You have to understand the stock is always looking forward, not backward. So we look at the 2026 is going to be at 16%, which is still higher from what it is going to be. It's going to be at 112.73 billion. We look at EPS, earning per share, is improving as well. We can see last year it was negative 12.44. This year is negative 7 only. And then even next year is going to be even better. It's going to be negative 5.13. So you can see these numbers are improving, and you can see these numbers are improving and growth in revenue. And these are all the charts and graphs. We can see the revenue forecast uptrend. We can see revenue growth. We can see the chart here. The graph is pretty high. It's 2028. From 2025 is 129. That's the highest. Average is 40. So the numbers I gave you, that's just on average. But if we go to highest in 2025 next year, it's going to be even up to 129. This year is going to be 137, but on average they are predicting to be only 23%. But if we look at the lowest numbers, we can see the revenue growth is going to be negative 3 for this year. Next year is negative 10, which is not as bad. It's not going to be on 40 or 50. It's only 10%. So that's good. By 2026, it seems to be going also. If we go to the lowest number, it's going to be 23. But the next year, 2027, 2028 is improving. That's just the lowest number. But on average, I always go with average numbers because it's between the two, between the highest and between the lowest. So I would go with average, which I have shown you about on the graph above there. We'll look at the EPS, earning per share. I've shown you. We look at the in 2025. Do you remember I said it's 513? But in 2025, lowest is going to be minus 10. We look at the EPS growth. We have up to 2028 numbers, which is going to be great. Up to average is going to be 38%. So all the numbers up to 2028 are looking really nice and green for NIO stock. So in this video, I just want to give you an update on bad and good about NIO. So if you want to buy a stock NIO today and you are thinking that the stock is going to be up, these are the numbers you are going to look for. So what do you think about NIO stock? Do you like it? Are you going to buy? Do you hold any stock of the NIO? So just make sure you leave the link, leave the comment below so I know what you're thinking about NIO stock. And again, if it's your first time, in order for you not to miss this type of prediction and update, just make sure you are subscribed to this channel. And if you like this content, give me a like and smash that like button. Until I meet our next video, bye bye.